Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance Dilemma podcast. My name is Shaun. This is my mate Imran, and this is our long distance friendship podcast. Back again for the ninth episode. Can you believe we're 9 episodes in already, Imran? How are you? How are you, bud?
It's actually mad that we're 9 episodes deep.
Yeah, I saw someone sent me something being like, if you make it past 10, you're official, because most people
Okay,
don't make
so we
it.
have one
Most
more
people
to
don't make
go.
it to 10. So yeah,
And it's the first week that we didn't use our second names.
it's our first week we didn't
First-
use what?
Our surnames.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just remembered that from last week. I've done
We've
enough
gone big
butchering.
time now.
You know, you already know. You know, even with the spellings as well for my name as well, of course, because it's always my name is constantly spelled wrong on stuff where like I have to give stuff over the phone, because I'll say Sean Finn, but they'll spell it Sean, and then when they hear Finn, a lot of the time they hear Flynn. So the amount of systems my name is down as Sean Flynn, Seanflynn, is like just it's happened a couple of times, like, you know. So like, this is why I don't do stuff over the phone with companies anymore, just because it's led to so many like complications in the past.
Lucky you're talking to.
Yeah,
Lucky
well,
you're talking to. Every day of my life, it's let me spell that for you. Let me spell that for you. Let me spell that for you. Even in school, like no one can pronounce my name correctly. But it's not even a hard name to. I don't think it's a hard name to pronounce. Like everyone calls me either
really.
Imrian. Yeah, like all
I
the
remember
time.
you used to hate being called, and I used to do this for a little bit, but then when I realized you didn't like it, I stopped doing it. But I know you hate being called Immy.
I hate it. I
Yeah.
hate it. It's my own fault though, because when I was a kid, my auntie set me up on Facebook. Like I think I was like 13 or something, 14.
Mm.
And she set me up on Facebook, and she used my nickname as my first name. So then a lot of people knew me then as Immy. But it's
Yeah,
like such a bad nickname.
I
It's
hate
just
being.
like something like your 4-year-old kid would call you.
Yeah, for sure. I hate being called something like one of my uncles calls me all the time that boils my blood. And some guy I used to work with used to call me this as well, but I hate being called Shawnee Boy for some so, I don't
Shawnee
know,
boy.
Shawnee Boy. If fucking like I'm quite. It's hard to wind me up, but that's
Father
like the.
trauma.
That's what the podcast is really about. It's the underlying message of this podcast. It's parentalhood trauma. um, yeah, I don't know. It's just it just gets under my skin. Like absolutely. And now that I've said this, and anybody who's listening to it now is just going to use that against me. But
It just sounds like that old man treatment that you get. Like, you know when someone
yeah,
calls you son? I hate being called son. You know, it's like,
yeah, I'm not a
thanks,
fan of
son.
that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they have no harm by it. It's just, I think it's the way they're brought up. They kind of these slang terms, like you'd call a young person would be like
Do
son
you
or
do you have like any
boy.
terms that like people throw at you like without really knowing you much? Like I like a lot of people call me boss, and I don't know if
Boss,
it's
yeah.
just because of my stature and size, but like it's not even been like it's not even just like a thing of like I know it's not a super uncommon thing to call a guy anyway, like, you know, but
Mm.
I get it a lot, like even with people that don't know me that well. I hear it a lot. I don't know if I just give boss vibes
Anytime
or
at the
what.
kebab shop, all the boss man.
Yeah, but do you have that like that people like would call you quite a lot,
Just
like out of context, like
just son. I probably get son a lot. Uh, but not obviously since moving here, I don't get that a lot. But back at home, if I was at the shop or anything, if I helped an elderly gentleman, he'd call you son. But I never. It's not something I never like. I didn't care about in the moment, but after a while, it just kind of gets annoying. It's just
yeah,
like because like I'm wearing a name badge, so you can clearly just look at my name. Because most people probably just go like, "Oh, what's your name? Sorry," and then they'll say, "Oh, thank you, Imran,"
but I
or
don't
whatever.
like being. I When I was in work, like on the shop floor, I hated being called by my name by a customer. I would hate if a customer like went up and was like, "Sean, all right, now I know who I'm dealing with." You know, like I've
Do
had
you ever get
really.
they get like super close as well? Like you can clearly see it from like this view, but they get up like in your grill.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't like when customers would like I would try and not wear name badges where possible. I just feel like it's not. I don't know, unless like it was like something where they had to come back and know who I was. Not because I was doing that wrong or that, and like it was just more of a kind of. I know, like, because like I've just had some crazy experiences with people in retail, like, you know yourself, like when you're dealing with the public and like
Oh my
customer
god,
service in
lads!
general. Like I've just had some mad L things happen over the years that I'm like, I just don't want to be giving out my name to the public anymore, just because, like, not in that sense, like, you know, because like it's gas like in Harvey's. Even after I had left, like I went back in one of the days and I was talking to one of the girls and she was like, "Oh, like there was like like this customer looking for you, like by name, and it wasn't even that there was that like they just kept like coming back in and like
Yeah.
looking for the chats, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
I
you know,
really, I really, I really think that people should do like 1 year service in like any kind of social industry where you're working with people.
yeah,
Like retail is a different breed of people that come into that place. Like I actually, I'd love to talk about it today on today's podcast, but I feel like that we could do a whole episode just talking about retail.
I
Maybe
mean,
that's the next one we might do.
we can keep rolling with that if you want. Like I know you have your topic that you want to get
My
into later
topic
in the
this week,
podcast.
guys.
But like, yeah, with something that we both have a lot of experience in, and like it's like
Yeah.
you're not super customer facing in your role now, aren't you? Not like in your job.
Not really. I mean, there's times where I have to bring the food out to the table and take some orders for people. But do you find this weird actually, right? So back at home, in like most pubs and restaurants, if you want to order food, you kind of order from the table. Like there'll probably be someone that a waiter will come around, or just someone that's walking around the floor picking up the
Yeah,
glasses, and you can just order through them. Here in the pub here in Switzerland, if you're at a pub and you want to order food, you have to come to the bar and order. Because there was an incident yesterday when I was in the morning shift, and I was at the bar just talking to the bartender, and a woman was at the table with her boyfriend, and she was being like really snobby, and she was doing that pointy thing. You know that I hate this when people like call you over with the one finger. If you're for all the people that aren't watching this on YouTube right now, I'm making this like curling motion with my finger to be like, come here, take my order. So I just turned around there and like did it back, because and it was just like this weird like Mexican standoff of both of us just curling our finger back towards each other. So eventually she came up, but then the German guy who was at the bartender at the time was like talking to me, and he goes, "That was such a weird interaction." I was like, "I know, it was so funny." But I just
yeah,
think that's weird. Like I don't like, because in Ireland, it's like most of the time, like 90% of the time, someone will come with you to a table with a tablet, or just
yeah.
a notebook or
It's
whatever.
not super uncommon though. I think it really just depends. Like in a pub, I would say table service, but if you're in a bar, it's more likely that you like. I think it just depends on the room. Like obviously, a
Mm.
restaurant you'll have a wait staff. Pubs, the lounge staff will tend to come up to you because they also want to give you drinks so they can get tips off you.
Hmm.
Because that's what I remember when I worked in the pub. Like that's what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was doing. Like but I think like in like specific places that are like dedicated bars, like they aren't pubs, like they're proper like sports bars and stuff. I do think it's a bit more common that you go up to the bar and order, and
yeah.
you're less reliant on like waiters
That
and
I
stuff.
get, because most of the time they probably don't serve food often if it's
Yeah,
just a
exactly. Well,
bar.
this is it. Like
Um,
like the place we were playing a few weeks ago, Chennai, like they done food, but like it was literally just two types of pizza, so you either cheese or pepperoni, and that was it. And
yeah,
you couldn't order that down like in the seating area. Like you had to go up to the bar and do it, like because
yeah, yeah.
it's not like trying to like brand out. I think it's literally just there because it must have been like something during COVID, so they could open, so they just started doing pizza and they just still doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know,
No, I've
that's the
actually had
vibe
the
it was given.
pizza from Chennai before. Yeah, Chennai's a good spot. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. But yeah, the trauma of retail is that was like one of the lowest points when I was laid off last year. I got so for anybody that doesn't know, I got laid off from a job last January, like out of the blue, and I was unemployed for like 5 months, but it was getting to the point like I was like 3 months in because I was like, oh no, I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna find a job that I really like because I'd done retail for like 7 years while I was in college and while I was in secondary school and stuff. So I was like, no, I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna try and find something that I really like. And so like I was interviewing for places and like even like I was like I was just like, oh grand, like I'll pass on stuff as well that like I'm not super interested in. But then like I was getting like 3 months in and the money was starting to run low, and I was like, oh my god, I might have to go back to retail. And I was like breaking out with my psoriasis again over it. Like it's just the stress of retail. It's not. It's like it's actually it's such a grand job in terms of like it's
So
not
easy.
hard to do in terms of stocking
No.
shelves, scanning stuff. The hardest part of working retail or working anything like that is just dealing with the public because
Yeah,
there's
there
some
are some.
there's some mad fuckers out there. There's some mad fuckers.
I've it really is like takes its toll on your brain. Like you're just being drained of energy. Like I used to come back from some shifts working in retail, and I was just like, what the hell just went on for the past couple of hours?
Yeah,
Especially when it's super busy at Christmas time and you're out the till and you're just dealing with so many people. Like after a while, your brain's just on overdrive. Like I feel like half the time I didn't feel like I was actually at the till, because like sometimes I'll be at the till for 4 to 5 hours just scanning and putting stuff in the bag and having the same conversations and talking about
It's nearly like
discounts and blah
an
blah blah blah.
NPC mode then at that point, isn't it?
Genuinely, you just slip into that robotic mode and you're just talking about the same thing over and over again. Merry Christmas. How you getting on? How's the kids?
But did you
Don't
have
even know
any
yet,
like
but
any in particular like bad customers or bad
yeah,
instances?
yeah. I'll give you an example. It was my first week. So I worked in a clothing store. I won't name the clothing store for I don't want to get sued. I worked in a clothing store, and it was like my first week when I first joined, and I think it was like my second or third shift. And there's different sections. So I worked in the menswear department, but that was also beside ladies wear and kids wear. But they actually put me down to the food hall to cover someone's break. This kind of happened often enough. So it was grand. Yeah, I went down there onto the food hall. They showed me quickly how to use the screen because it's a bit different to the one upstairs, and then how to, I don't know what's called, the line where you'll be able to bring the food up. What's the name of it? Do you know what the name of it?
The checkout, like.
Checkout. Yeah, whatever. How do you know? I don't know what the machine is where you bring it down. Whatever. The button that you press that brings all the food down. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, a woman came and she was ordering a couple of stuff, and she came with a lot of like fruit and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, okay, grand. So I had to go to like product selection, but I didn't know you had to. I thought you could just press one time onto like the oranges, but I didn't know you had to weigh the fruit because I wasn't told. Like if you don't know this, like first time working in retail, you wouldn't know this because I'm usually a gastro background, so I wouldn't be equipped to this. So anyway, I put her process through. Her transaction came, and I think I like paid her like a couple of stuff. Grand anyway. So she went off, and then she came back and she was complaining, and I was like, oh, my bad, sorry, I'll just get my manager. So it was super busy. Like the line was like 10 people in the queue. I'm ringing the bell for a manager to come, and she's not coming, and I'm like apologizing to the lady, and she's like, you overcharged me, like full voice in front of like the 10 people in the queue. Look at this, look at the people they're hiring at this company, complete idiots. And then she was like, he's probably not even Irish, like an absolute disgrace. And I was like, what the hell? And obviously I was a bit like, because I've never experienced that before, I was just a bit like nervous and shy, so I didn't say it back. I was kind of just standing there. Now, like later on, like I had instances and I spoke up for myself, but that was the first time I was kind of like I didn't have a response. And anyway, the manager came, sorted out. Like it turned out to be it was 25 cents that I owed her. Like I thought I'd owed her like it was like a couple of hundred or a couple of like, at least 20 quid or something. The way she was going on, it was like the end of the world. And she was with her sister at the time, and her sister had to turn around to her and actually be like, chill out. You could tell that he's like, we're in college. Like he just picked up this job to, make a bit of extra cash. He's human. Like he's gonna make a mistake. But the way she was going on, like the only good thing, like on the other side of that was when she left and she got the money back. The next person in the queue was like an old dear, and she like apologized, like for her. Even though she had nothing to do with the situation, she was just like the way that she had handled that situation was so bad. Like I think I took like 3 minutes out of her day to exchange everything as well. It wasn't that it was like a long process, but that's only like one. That's only like the one prime
Honestly,
example
like
I have because
the 3 minutes she would have spent on that is worth less than 25 cents. So she probably like in the grand scheme of like how you can make money on your time and stuff, like 25 cents.
I think it was well, yeah, it was 25 cents. I think the only thing for me was like I was only there like my third shift, and I'm in a section I don't know, and I was super busy in the queue. But everyone else in the queue had like so much patience, like they could tell. Like I had to tell a couple of customers because it was taking me a while to do the transactions. Not a long time, but like a little bit longer than it usually would take. And like I was apologizing, saying like, "Oh, sorry, it's my first week." Da, 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 da. And most people are like, "Yeah, grand, no worries. Why do you take our time?" But for whatever reason, that day she just decided to be an absolute wanker.
I'd say about like 70% of people are grand. You've got about 20% that are like a little awkward. Maybe they're fussy, or you're dealing with like teenagers that have an attitude, or like they just don't want to talk, or they don't want to, they're like they're asking you for credit. You're asking for their phone number. But you want the phone
It's
number.
mass. It's
Stuff
90% of the time it's mass. 90%
well,
of the
yeah,
time.
it is usually. I'd say it's definitely usually more kind of middle-aged women that tend to cause the fuss. But I've had this with blokes as well.
Yeah, of course, same. Yeah, but
that's
90% of the time.
Would you have gotten? I don't know if like I know I got it like over my weight a bit. Would you have like had a lot of like racism stuff thrown at you, like people like that?
Yeah, all the time. People like saying like, "Oh, you're not even Irish," or I'm like, mate, you can tell by my accent, I'm clearly born here. Like, I like, and I was like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, genuinely, what has that to do with the transaction?
That's
And
not gonna get you. Like that has no effect on this 25 cents.
no effect. And I remember later on, obviously when I first started retail, I was a bit shy because I wasn't used to dealing with the public. But we ended up working there for 3 to 4 years. And then after the second year, I was so confident. Like I'd speak up for myself. I'd be like, "No, you're wrong." Da, 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 da. But the most annoying thing I find is when that happens and then you call for a manager and the manager doesn't back you up.
Yeah,
That really
sure.
hurts. That
Yeah,
really, really hurts because you're like, you can tell that they're in the wrong, but yet you're still taking their side just for the easy way out.
yeah,
Now, I do get that as well because sometimes it's just like it can be the same customer over and over again. Like we've had an instance where the same customer comes in and you know what you're going to get on a daily basis. It's just going to be a complaint about the same thing. But yeah, man, I just think there's no need for like what do they get out of slagging someone's weight or like slagging someone's background? Like what do they get out of that?
I don't know. It's just fucking sad fuckers. It's
Sad
like
fuckers, man.
sad
Sad,
fuckers.
sad people, man. People have no lives.
I tell you, speaking of, like, I think this is like a good example where, like, so I was out for dinner last night, right? And I went to All Bar Chicken. Go. Again, if anyone from All Bar Chicken wants to get in touch and wants a sponsorship, absolutely no problem. We'll look after the kids the weekends.
Brave in it.
No problem.
Brave in it.
I went there last night with Liam, the guy who does my photos. You would have met
Yeah.
Liam once or twice. Um, and so we went, and I was sitting there, and like we'd finished our food and stuff. Me and Liam were just standing there chatting away, and we were up at like. Do you remember the first time we went together? Like we were up the top on. This is the one in Capel Street for anybody who knows.
Yeah.
And it's like up beside the fridges near the bar. And I
Yeah.
was just sitting there waffling away with Liam, and a staff member spilled a full jug of water all over me.
No.
Like a full, and like I'm not saying like, oh, it was like half a glass, and like and it was a little splash. Like my jeans were like had puddles on, like, and the chairs now were like soaked wet through, and we were like, oh, okay. And like, I was like, oh, okay, whatever, shit happens. Like, again, I've been a waiter, I've worked,
Yeah.
I shit happens. Like, it was a bit of water. It would have been different if it was like a beer with that with a stank, or
Yeah.
something. Like, it was a bit of water. I was like, yeah, whatever, grand. And like they were so like, oh, so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. Like I've been to All Bar Chicken in Cable Street like minimum 15 times. Like, so
Loyal there.
I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. And I was kind of a bit, I was a bit annoyed when we left. Didn't get one thing comped. I was like, geez, you put it fucking thrown the fucking the chips or something on the house.
Yeah.
After that sort of, I didn't say that. And like, but we got the bill after. Like, I also as well, like after that, I ordered some tenders to take home to Simone. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
I thought she'd appreciate it. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'll get the tenders. And like, I didn't do it because it'd been spilt on, and I maybe think that's they probably picked up on that. We're like, oh, he's only ordering those because he thinks he's gonna get them for free. But that wasn't what I was planning on doing that before anyway. I was like, oh, I'll bring them home to Simone. But I just thought it was a bit mad. Like, if you spilt a full jug of, like, again, if it was a glass, like half a glass of water, I wouldn't. But it was like I could not get out of the chair because it would look like I pissed myself. Like, it was floods of water.
That is unusual for gastro for them not to give you some kind of like
Yeah, or even
refund
the
or
drinks or
comp
something.
for
I was a
anything.
bit like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Normally they offer like people like a free drink when that happens.
yeah, like literally.
But she gave you a free drink, I suppose.
Well, so I did get a drink. It was just on my crotch.
I miss Alvar so much. Like lads, the tenders in Alvar are just
They are
different.
ridiculous.
Different kettle of fish.
Yeah, like anybody in Dublin, like that's like it's if someone's looking, being like, oh, I want to go somewhere, and it's perfect because it's central Dublin, but it's not too central. Like, it's Capel Street, so like you're not around near like Grafton Street and O'Connell's. Well, you're not far from O'Connell Street. It's 5 minute walk away, but like it's not always flooded with people and tourists and stuff. So it's a nice. Well, that place is always packed as well, but yeah,
There is one on Grafton though as well though, isn't
yeah.
there?
There's one in that bar.
We went there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we went
me
there.
and Simone went there before,
Yeah.
and
They're both good though.
yeah, it's just.
Oh,
like, it's,
Blanche need to get one.
I think
What I was gonna say, but
it's
you
delivered to Blanche.
oh, can you?
Yeah, I think there was one day where me and Simone were like at home looking to like we were back in Blanche, and we were just looking to order something, and like it came up as an option because it was just
Oh my
like
god.
I think it was like a pop up truck situation, so you couldn't go in
Yeah,
and sit
yeah.
and eat there, but it was like delivery only sort of vibe. and we were just like, we don't know if it would be the same delivered. But to be fair, I brought the
Yeah.
tenders home to Simone last night, and they were cold a while because I went for a drink and stuff with Liam after. So like they'd been cooked like 2-3 hours ago. I was like, "Jump to heat them up," and she was like, "Nah," I just ate them, and I had one as well. They were banging. They were banging.
So good. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
because the layer in the buffalo sauce just
yeah.
oh lads, just go taste it.
Just
Just go
yeah.
taste it.
Again, if
Allbar, if
anybody
you want to
wants to
sponsor
sponsor,
us,
please, yeah,
Allbar, please.
we're just gonna make a little clip out of this one. Tag Allbar.
There you go, lads.
There you go.
All of our Crusty Corner and Crocs that are nutrient sponsorships.
They're official sponsors of the podcast.
I take any of them.
Yeah, I had an incident before in a shop where I was working. Do you remember I worked in the garage when we were doing our
Yeah.
insert? Right, so
Yeah.
we were there, and when you go to a garage, you might notice yourself from pulling up in the car. Sometimes they don't like give you access to the petrol. Like sometimes you put the thing in, but they won't. They'll say come in and pay for it first, like to prepay for it, and that's just to stop people driving off. Like so if they see art and sketchy, they won't open it. Like, and especially like my place was really, really strict on this sort of stuff. Like, so if you like had your hood up, or if like your car door was half open, like, ready to kind of like if it kind of looked like you'd make a run in, or
Yeah.
like if there was a couple of things like that we did like a whole like 10 things. If you see any of these 10 things, don't open the pump, right? And I think this woman like was out there and her car door was open or something like that. So I was like, oh okay, I'm not gonna open it now. Like nothing too other than that. But she came in, so like I called her and I was on the PA and I was like, oh sorry, pump number 7, can you come inside and prepay, whatever. And like she comes up to me with like all this attitude, being like, what are you wasting me time for? I was gone, blah, blah, blah. And she's complaining. I was like, oh sorry, like there's just a certain set of circumstances where I can't open it. Your like your car door was open, and like that was the reason for it. And she's like, yeah, but blah, blah, blah. And like she's like grilling me. I'm like, right, you're after spending more time grilling me now than like
If you would have
you
just
would
came
have
and paid.
if you just came in, paid, and went back out. You'd be back on the road and all by now. But you have to spend the last 5 minutes like grilling me for more of an answer. But she's like, why? I'm like, it's just part of my guidelines. It's part of my job. I have a list. I can't do it. And she's just like, why? And then so like she whittles me down and she plays me like a fiddle. And she said like she got me to be like, oh, it's just like in these situations sometimes like we have these parameters set out because these are like basically common with people who drive off and don't pay for their petrol. It can just be a little bit dodgy sometimes, right? She took that and ran with it.
Oh god.
She ran with that. She was like, "You called me dodgy. You called my car dodgy. You called the kids in the car dodgy. You called like she just was making up all this shit." And like she calls for my boss then, and I got in trouble over it. Like my boss was also like, "Look, I know you didn't say that, but." You just like there's people out there that will spin that, so that's why like I'm so careful with how I speak to people in public now.
Yeah.
As
You
well.
really do need to
Do you know
concentrate,
what
especially when you're working on your toe.
I get all the time? I've gotten this working, and I've gotten this as like just a personal job. People come up to me all the time and like comment on my psoriasis as well.
Really?
Yeah, it happens to me probably like once every week or two. It's so fucking
And
annoying.
what will they say?
They'll just be like it ranges from ew, what the fuck is that, to oh, do you know what you should do about that, or what's wrong with you? Like it can really really vary, but like it happens frequently enough that it's a
That
bit
is
of a pain
really
in the hole.
surprising.
Yeah,
I
like
really
it's
didn't
just,
think people would comment on that.
yeah, no, like I've had it a couple of times where like I'd be serving a customer. Like it happened quite a bit in Harvey's as well, just because it was a sales job, and you kind of have to be a bit more presentable. Like no, because my arms were also a bit worse at the time. And anybody who's watching my arms don't look too bad now, but a year or two ago they were like a lot more red and a lot more flaky. But not as bad now. But my face used to be like that as well. It kind of comes and goes around my body, over the course of my life. But yeah, like there was one day where like it was like just particularly bad on my head and like on my face, and like people be like, "Ew, what's that?" Or like you'd also have people be like, "Oh, I have the best remedy for this." I'm like, right, okay, I've had this for 20 years. I don't without like I know there's some people whose intentions are in the right place, but I'm like, if this was like a scar from a fire, you'd feel like an awful idiot. Or like if it was anything else, like if it was like if they were commenting on your hair, or if they were commenting on other body parts. Like if they were like commenting on weight or something like that, it would be really inappropriate. But they think because it's a skin condition, they think it's still
They don't
appropriate. It's
care.
still,
They could, yeah.
it just really gets under my skin. Well, it gets under my skin, so to speak. But yeah, it happens. I'd be in. Like, it happened to me. I've been in the shop down the road, and I'll just stand there and like a random person come to me and go, "Do you know how you fix that?" As if there's something wrong with me. You know?
Yeah.
It's a bit shit. You know?
Sometimes people in Ireland can be really prejudgmental with that kind of stuff.
And like I said, I get, some people are trying to come at it from an angle of they're not trying to be rude. They think they're being helpful, but they're actually being extremely rude when they're doing it.
And sometimes it's just like you don't know the person, you don't really have to comment on it. Like fair enough if it was like your cousin or your mate, or you just wanted to make a suggestion, like a recommendation.
For sure. Like it'd be totally different if it was me and you, because we know each other, but for like a stranger in the shop, like you don't know my history with this, you don't know. I don't want to sound like too like. I don't want to be getting too pissy, or I don't want to sound too pedantic about it. It's just it's something that really pisses me off, you know.
So, sometimes in Ireland, I don't know, it's just something because we grew up there and I kind of been thinking about it a lot since we've gone away. It's like the over need to speak to people in Ireland. Sometimes we overdo it. Like we're over nice, or we're over commenting, or we're over talking to people. Like I remember one day I was at the till with lads for 10 minutes, didn't know the guy, and he was talking to me about all these random things that I had nothing like about the company, asking me questions about it. I said, like, mate, I don't know. I just work here. Like, I genuinely don't know. Like, asked me when it started. I was like, I don't know. What am I meant to know that? It's like I get paid half part time. Like, I'm getting shit money here, lad.
I don't think some people understand the concept. Like, some people think that like when you are doing those jobs, like that's your career. I'm like, brother, I'm here part time to make some money while I'm in college, to pay for college. I have a lot more shit going on. I don't know the ins and outs of how the company works, and to be honest, I don't give a rat's.
Do you notice as well? This always happens on like days where like you go to work and you really don't want to work. You're just having a bad day, or something happened earlier in the day, and then you get these stupid ass questions being asked, and you're like, it really is. If you're like, you feel like you're being tested somehow.
Yeah.
Like you're in the simulation, and whoever the creator is just messing around, like just pulling a few wires out just to make your life difficult.
Yeah, for sure. People love a stupid question. Like a question.
And in school, I was always being told like, "Oh, there's no stupid questions." That's a complete lie.
No,
that is a lie.
I had a woman, right? When I worked in Harvey's before, right? I had a woman come in to me. She bought a Dyson off me like 3 or 4 weeks prior, right? She came in and she's fuming. She's like a kettle. She's boiling, walking up to me, and she's red in the face. And she's like, "You sold me this. It's a piece of crap. Blah 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 blah. It's not working. It hasn't been working for the last week. Blah blah blah." I looked at the thing. She had not emptied the fucking bin in the Dyson since she got it.
Oh my god.
Had not emptied the bin, so the bin was just full and I could not take in anymore. So I literally emptied the bin in our bin and then turned it on, and it was working fine. And she just like, she looked at me and she knew she was the biggest dick as well. Like, at least she wasn't like, "Oh well, you just did something." She to be fair to her, a lot of people don't do this, but she kind of just went, "Right, okay, fair enough. Yeah, you cooked, yeah." It's a good way of putting it.
Jesus Christ.
Just imagine like this 40-year-old woman going, "Hold on a minute, he's cooking," you know.
I had a woman before to me. She had like €400 worth of clothes, and so she basically was ranting before she even came to the till, popped all the clothes on the till, and I was complaining, like just like spieling, but I'm just looking for the receipt at this point. Like she's like, "Oh, it's in."
You told me this story before.
Yeah, right. So she's going, like she's complaining about everything. She was overcharged, all this stuff. She hands me the receipt, and I'm trying to like explain to her like about the receipt, but she's not letting me. She just keeps cutting across me. She's like, "And the way I was served in the shop was ridiculous. The manager was so rude to me." And then anyway, this went on for like 5 minutes. Everyone on the till, the line was super busy. Everyone was looking at her like, "What the hell's going on?" I was like, "Sorry, but you have the wrong receipt." So she was at the completely wrong shop, and she felt like an absolute sap. I was looking at her like, I actually, after a while, even though she was complaining, I felt bad for her. I had to show her the receipt and be like, "Jesus Christ."
Yeah, so this section of TK Maxx, sorry. Was it like different like
It was
franchise
no,
owned, or was it just a
no,
different branch of M&S?
no, it wasn't even Marks and Spencers at all.
Okay, right.
It was a retail shop, but it wasn't like the same company at all. Like fair enough if it was in like Liffey Valley or something, I don't completely understand. But oh my god! And I noticed it when she came in because on the bag it wasn't a Marks and Spencers bag at the time,
Yeah,
and I was like, Jesus.
yeah. Some people really are just tick.
Oh,
Like
genuine,
honestly, you
like
could.
come on.
I would. I if you offered me more money than I'm making now in my job to go back to retail, I wouldn't do it. Like
Retail,
fucking not a chance, man. It's literally the trenches. It's a
retail
social
and
experiment.
gastro as well is
Yeah,
genuinely, and I'm back in gastro, and I never thought I would be. But in fairness, though, out of all the gastro jobs I've had, this is like the least. What's the word I'm looking for? The least heartbreaking on my soul.
okay. It's probably just because you
like
can't understand half of what people are saying to you as well. So
not even that. It's just like the company I worked in before when I originally started in gastro. It was so badly run through management that the workload on the staff was just ridiculous, and like the underpayment was just like through the roof. Madman.
yeah.
I'd love to ask about if we have do we have polls from this week?
Yeah, so the polls from last week were the ones from the previous week, actually. So we were talking about was it okay to go on your phone while you're watching film and TV shows, and it
Yeah,
was 56% said no, which I would have been in that bracket, and
yeah.
44% said yes. So
Still
yeah,
kind of close though.
it was close. It was one of the closer ones that we've had. Like I think we've had like three that have gone like really close, and they've been in that kind of like 55 to 60 in favor of, and then we'd one that was like 100%, and then there was one that was 50-50, I think, from one of the weeks. So yeah, we've got 8 minutes left on this. So I want to get to your topic that you
Yeah.
wanted to bring up.
So this week I was on Instagram and I was scrolling through reels, and anyway, as you do,
We're going to copy
and
the podcast format now.
and a lot of edits came up about the term aura, right? So I just want to read out the definition that I have of aura. If you don't know what it is, okay, this is a Urban Dictionary or a definition, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, so aura is a distinctive atmosphere or quality that seems to surround a person, place, or thing, often used to describe someone's vibe or energy that others can sense or feel without explanation. So I asked Shaun this week to give me a list of, it doesn't have to be in a row, you can just name them, a list of the top 10 people or things that have aura, and I did the same.
Okay.
So I want Shaun to go first. You'll name one, and then I'll name one, and we'll just go back and forth that way.
Okay. I have one or two places down here as well. Is that okay? Because I just couldn't
Yeah,
name
yeah,
10 people. So,
yeah, 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 yeah.
my number one person, I think this is somebody who might be on both of our lists, is Brian Cranston.
Brian Cranston is actually
Brian.
on my list. Yeah,
Yeah, I knew he would.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
we're both big Brian Cranston fans.
But I also have another one from the same show.
Are you talking?
I just named the character. I just
I,
said Gus Fring.
yeah, I was gonna say Giancarlo. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had like the character's name because like I feel like himself, he's probably like a lovely guy, like a real nice guy. But I mean, like when he comes into the room, when I see him, I'm like, oh, that's Gus. That's Aura.
He does. He presents really well in press stuff, and then
Yeah.
there's also I've seen videos of people bumping into him in public, and he seems to be a really nice guy as well. He was in Ireland a couple like last year as well, wasn't he? He was in Holt or something like that. Do you
Oh
remember
yeah,
that?
I think we're getting having an ice cream. He was on having an ice cream, and his little Fandera for beer.
Yeah.
What is it for beer? For beer?
Yeah. So yeah, is that two of us gone? One off each list now. Do you want me to go again, or do you?
Yeah,
want
you go.
I'll go for my place one. This is just a very personal one to me, but there's something so special about the Olympia Theatre in Dublin that just
Aura.
takes me. That's aura. That just takes me to. I know whenever I'm at a gig in the Olympia, I know things are going to be all right. You know, there's something that's like very calming and peaceful to me about being in that room. It's not just for Cronin's gigs, like it's for any gig. Like it's one of those places that if I only know a handful of songs by the artist, I will like where maybe I was with him and Han about going. If it's in the Olympia, I will like go out of my way to go You know?
Yeah, the Olympia is sick. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite gig spots in Dublin. I also really like Vicar Street as well. My place I picked, which is not in Ireland actually, funny enough, is the San Siro. I went there to visit it, and it was the first time I'd been in a stadium, and I was like, oh, there's history here. Like even the way it looks on the outside, it's just the atmosphere around it. It doesn't have to. You're just looking at it like, oh, this is Italian history right here. This is a chef's kiss. I have a lot of other characters that I'd like to name off.
Just quickly. Go for it.
So I have the Silver Surfer from Fantastic, or just the character, the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four. Have you seen the movie? He's a sick character.
No, I actually haven't seen the two.
Okay,
I haven't seen any of the Fantastic Four films.
All right, that's your plan. I want you to watch all the Fantastic Four movies before the new one comes out.
Before the new, I thought you were going to say before next week. I was like, I'm not going to lie.
No. Before the new one comes out.
Yeah. I probably would have. Done that anyway. So for sure, I'll go on
this one, I think you can definitely agree with me. Tai Lung from Kung Fu.
Yes. Yeah.
That guy has aura.
Everything about Kung Fu. I had Poe down. Everything about
Poe is
sure, we went to see the fourth one together in the cinema.
So good.
Class. What a franchise. And again, Bryan Cranston the third one. So go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's actually mad. In terms of sport, I picked Ronaldinho. I just remember he was the first player that had flair. Like he just couldn't do it. He was like the original Neymar.
Yeah.
Low key though, this is another debate, but just for football fans, I think that Neymar was better than Ronaldinho, which is very controversial. Controversial.
Long term, yeah.
Long term, yeah.
Ronaldinho in
his prime, Ronaldinho, in his prime, yeah. But I mean, overall, long term,
Neymar.
Yeah, Neymar, definitely. And then for honorable mentions, I have here, I have the Batman. Enough said. Like nothing needs to be said there.
Just Bruce Wayne in general.
It just speaks for himself. Like Lightning McQueen, every man loves Lightning McQueen. Yeah, you know. And then one of my personal favorite characters, Sean probably wouldn't know as much, but The Walking Dead is Negan. He's just a sick ass character. And if you watch the show Walking Dead, you'll definitely see it. Do you have any more? Any honorable mentions?
On that kind of world, I was going to say Omni-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Omni-Man has got Riz.
Did you finish the show?
Yes, incredible.
Episode 8 and 7 was just chef's kiss.
So somebody else I have is Wilson Fisk.
Wilson
Fisk. Are you caught up on Daredevil?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
It's
no spoilers, of course. It's way too early to.
We won't speak about it until the show is finished. But I'm really, really enjoying the season. Really enjoying it.
I'll be honest with you, I hated the first episode. I like me and Simone were really upset at the end of the first episode just because we just didn't like.
I think it made sense though. Yeah,
but there was a lot of stuff like okay, if you want to do what they did, I get the angle you're going for, but like it was just it was a lot. The CGI was dreadful in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, I thought that too.
It was so bad, and then there was the creative decision, and then there was just a lot of camera choices and color grading choices that I really, really did not like. But the second and third episodes were then really, really good, especially the third episode. The third episode was excellent. So I'm optimistic for the future. But yeah, once Daredevil Born Again is finished, we'll talk more spoilery about it. So everybody who's watching, you need to watch Daredevil Born Again, or else.
Yeah. Our recommendations for this week, lads, is Invincible and pretty much just watch all of Daredevil.
Watch season
all
1
of Daredevil,
and then Born Again, which is just dropping on Disney Plus. But yeah, we're on our less than a minute warning from our free Zoom call. We need to set up a Patreon for this.
Well, maybe when we reach 10 episodes.
Yeah, possibly. So because we're official, you know.
Yeah, we're official. We got a title then.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Distance Dilemma once again, and we will see you next week. I'll hand you over to Imran.
Thanks, guys. Again, I say at the end of every episode, loving the support, and see you next week.
Slán go fóill.
Slán go fóill.